Hello and welcome to our latest episode of the Brighter Thinking Pod from the International Education Group of Cambridge University Press and Assessment. I'm your host for this episode. My name is Paul Ellis and I'm the Head of Thought Leadership here at Cambridge. Today, we're exploring the skills that prepare learners for life. These are the abilities that go far beyond the classroom, like critical thinking, resilience, collaboration, independence and empathy. These skills can help young people adapt, problem solve and thrive wherever life takes them. We'll be focusing on two brilliant initiatives that nurture these skills: Cambridge Global Perspectives and the Junior Duke Award. Together, they're equipping learners around the world with the confidence and capability to succeed in school, at home and in the wider world. Let's meet our guests. Rebecca Watkins-Wright is the Curriculum Development Manager for Cambridge Global Perspectives, and Dawn Waugh is a former teacher and now founder of the Junior Duke Award. Welcome to you both. Okay, we often hear terms like transferable skills, life skills and soft skills. Please, can you describe from your point of view what we're going to be talking about today and why you think these skills are important? Perhaps we can start with you, Rebecca.
Yes, so transferable skills are abilities that can be applied across subjects and situations, so things like problem solving, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and these really help students prepare and adapt for the real world and to thrive in a rapidly changing world. So we think of transferable skills as being really a bridge from learning in the classroom to real life challenges.
Thank you very much. Is that the same in your opinion, Dawn?
Yeah, very much so. Being a primary teacher for very many years, many of our children are very academic and very able, and they're going to do very well in school and get the qualifications and be able to go off to university or whatever. And we're not all going to be able to do that. And those who are going to uni or those who are not going to uni, they've still got to know how to survive and look after themselves and be able to do all the normal things of a day, like shopping, cooking, managing your money, understanding your money, washing your clothes and risk management, because there's risk in everything we do. And I think from a very early age, we wrap our children up in bubble wrap and we don't want them to get in danger in any way. So we want to take that away and make them safe. But that's not really helping them to learn strategies to problem solve. So that's where the Junior Duke Award comes in.
Okay, which we'll hear more about in a minute as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I used that term soft skills a moment ago. Is soft skills an appropriate phrase to use, the adjective soft, in the respect of this, Rebecca?
I don't particularly like the word soft skills. I think life skills or transferable skills is better, but I think we're just talking about skills in general. And I really like the way that Dawn talked about we're trying to provide opportunities for every single child. And that's certainly what we're trying to do here at Cambridge. It's not just we've got one particular child in mind, they're particularly academic. We're trying to give opportunities to all different kinds of learners because we appreciate that all kids are different, all learners are different. They come from different contexts, different backgrounds. So yeah, that's a really nice idea that we're trying to equip them for whatever they want to do in the future.
Knowing what to do when they don't know what to do, perhaps, and learning eventual situations.
Absolutely. And when you're working with groups in a classroom situation, some might be very scientifically minded and know how to solve a problem, but they're having to work in a group, and some really struggle to collaborate, cooperate, share, listen, and they get angry and annoyed because no one's listening to them, and so that's the kind of, I suppose, soft skills that we're talking about that then become very transferable, because that'll be useful in the world of employment and having to work with a team of other adults when they get to that age. But you don't suddenly get to 18 and suddenly are able to do that. So it takes lots of little steps.
So a degree of role playing perhaps in that as well.
Yeah, and it's perfectly normal in that represents life, doesn't it? In the classroom, you've got different types of kids, they've got different skills, different abilities, and that's exactly how it is in the workplace. You have your the things that you're particularly good at, your And then the things maybe you're not so good at, but you're working together as a team and you're all complementing each other. So that's exactly how it is in the real world.
Yeah, and when you're little, I mean, I think children kind of feel that they're meant to get on with everybody and be able to work with everybody. But we all realise as we get older, everybody has their own skills and their own ways of doing things, and you're not necessarily going to be best friends with everybody, but about learning how to work alongside people, it starts young.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to have disagreements. That's perfectly okay. It's not wrong to disagree with someone. It's just how you manage that. It's how you process that, and then what you do about it.
Yeah. Learning how to disagree agreeably, as some people say sometimes, and kind of understanding what it feels like to disagree and then how the other person might feel, and empathise with them that much more.
And when you're doing that when you're little, it does tend to be all of a sudden upset and angry because he's not listening to me. And then we get older and realise you don't need to cry about it. It's okay. And there's different ways to get around it.
Yeah, strategies.
Yeah,
strategies that you learn. I mean, yeah, I'm learning all the time, for sure. You don't come out of school and that's it, you're done. You carry on learning and adapting to different situations.
That's right. You never stop learning, do you, really, at all? Excellent. And we've been finding this recently, actually. We've recently published a report here at Cambridge. It's called Preparing Learners to Thrive in a Changing World, which captures some of the skills and attributes that people around the world think are important to do with learning in school, so beyond the knowledge, but also combining knowledge and skills together. And so it's provided a wealth of information about this, which backs up basically what you're saying there as well. And if those who are listening, tuning into this, want to hear more about that, there's a link to that in the show notes as well for this podcast. So let's focus now on Cambridge Global Perspectives initially, if I may, and we'll bring in the Junior Duke Award a bit more in a minute as well. Can you tell us how Cambridge Global Perspectives helps develop the kind of skills that we've just been talking about?
Cambridge Global Perspectives is quite unique. So there is a focus on skills. So it's not about content. There's no prescribed content. And that gives teachers and students the flexibility to do what they want to do, to look at the topics they're interested in, the issues that they care about. So they could be doing anything from climate change to AI to human rights. And that helps connect them to that topic, so they've got that interest, they've got that connection, and if they're looking at different perspectives, they're thinking about how they feel about a particular topic or issue, how other people feel about topics, about this particular, what their perspectives are, then that builds empathy. So they can see something from someone else's point of view or from multiple points of view, and that sometimes shifts how they think about things. So there's that empathy there. There's also quite a lot of informed decision-making, so they have opportunities to explore different topics, work together in teams, deal with those sort of team dynamics, so teamwork and collaboration. But they're also researching into particular topics that they're interested in, so they are thinking about what evidence is out there. Is that evidence credible? What's this person's bias? Is it coming from a particular perspective? So they're learning to look critically at different sources of information and then make decisions based on that, and based on what their team is, or what their peers are doing as well. So there's that informed decision-making that is really transferable to real-life challenges as well.
That sounds like sort of a very holistic sort of programme then, so you're covering many aspects of what somebody might want to learn, as we just said, about kind of risk-taking to some extent and what people might want to learn how to do if they've not previously visited those kind of experiences in their minds and in their work as well. Okay.
And which age group is it that goes through these projects with in Global Perspectives?
So they start really young. Global Perspectives is for 5 to 19 years old, but at the early ages they're 5, and a lot of teachers say, well, what can they do at this age? They can't work in teams, and they can't write a project report, they can't write a reflection report. But if you start them on things that are really small and things that are personal to them, things that they know about, so it might be something simple like they're thinking about the kind of fruits and vegetables that are available in their supermarket. So they go on the trip to the market or the supermarket, and they talk about the different fruits that they like and which ones do they know, and look about where do they come from. So these are just really normal, everyday, relatable things. And then they can start to build connections to things like where do these things grow, or what's it like in that country? What do we grow here? And you could even start exploring things things like what do those producers get paid for this, and what are the working conditions for the people who pick the fruit. So you can start to explore quite complex issues and topics, but in a very understandable and relatable way.
And that's one of the challenges in the Junior Duke, is about about how far food has travelled and your carbon footprint and everything. And so I took in shopping bags. I'd been to the local shop and I had deliberately bought things that weren't local. And then they had to find the origin, and they had to work out how many miles those things had all had to travel. And they thought, initially, which group had the most miles.
Oh, yeah. There's always a bit of competition.
Yeah. And then realised, actually, that's not good. And then, I had a mother came into school, not complaining, but, joking. But she said, shopping has become so difficult. She won't let me buy a kiwi fruit because it's having to come from Chile.
Yeah. But then they're teaching their parents things and sharing what they've learned.
Absolutely.
It gives the young children agency to some extent as well, doesn't it? It allows them to take action.
Definitely. She was feeling very important, keeping her mother in check. Yeah.
And to feel involved in those kind of everyday decisions rather than feeling like these things are nothing to do with them, it's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's all.
I remember a class I did on this once as well, which is to do with the labels in clothing. Sometimes you can look at your labels in your clothing and find out where things have come from. And similarly to what you just described to do with food, you can see how things might have travelled across the world. There's a big thing to do with car making as well. So for children who are a bit older, interested in cars, perhaps, they can think, okay, this part of the car has moved from there to there to there to there. And it's really quite amazing for them then to discover just what goes into making even a daily sort of products they might be using.
Absolutely.
It's quite something.
And then to come back to your question, I was at a conference just not long ago, and it was head teachers who had come from about 150 countries, and 5 or 6 students had been brought. There was one from Nigeria and one from Beijing, and they were aged 14 or 15. And they stood on the stage in front of 500 head teachers, and they said what they thought of their education. And they said it was really interesting. They said, you're teaching us to memorise the contents of a textbook, and then you ask us to regurgitate it in a test. But we've all got computers in our pockets. We don't need to learn like that. And then they went on to say what they felt they needed to learn. And they wanted to be better at face-to-face communication. They wanted more opportunity to do public speaking. They wanted to understand money better and become financially literate. They wanted more opportunity to lead a team. And they wanted help to discover what their passions and talents are and how to then monetize that and make it into a business.
Wow.
That must be music to your ears, because, describe to us a bit more about the Junior Duke Award, because that's really trying to build up those very sorts of skills, isn't it?
Well, it is. There's from the age of 3 up to 13, there are 10 different levels of it. And it all came about because I wanted to help my children in my school to become more independent. A lot of them are sitting back and waiting for adults to do things for them, because that's clearly what would happen at home. But they should have been perfectly capable of doing that. If you, like, for example, getting changed after PE when you're 5 years old, a lot of children just didn't know what to do because their shirt sleeves were inside out. So I'd show them once and then turn it back inside out and say, now you know how. And some were delighted because they'd learned this exciting new skill, whereas others would look at you and say, but you just did it. Why did you undo it? So things like that have kind of come along, that so giving children opportunities to experience things that often our parents really like as a framework for what their children should be able to do at different ages. And often, they want their children to help at home, but the children are a little bit, some desperately want to help and they love doing that. And learning how to cook and being helpful. And others are a wee bit more reticent and they would rather somebody else did the vacuuming. But for the Junior Duke, when it's in there and it's a challenge that they have to do, I think the parents are loving that. And so many grandparents get involved as well, because there's lots of skills that they are needed for. So it becomes quite a family thing.
Yeah, cross-generational, actually.
Yeah. We try to encourage that in Global Perspectives as well, where they get their parents and the the wider family and their friends involved, and so they can share those things with them, and it's not just about them. So there's lots of community style projects. So things like they might be working out what's best for the community, what will help the community, and that helps build those connections. So that's really lovely to hear.
And I do find as well, it really helps, although it's not academic in any way whatsoever. I mean, I had a wee boy in my class. He was new to the school and he was quiet, and he did find learning difficult for a few reasons. And he didn't really want to join in with anything or give answers because he didn't think his answers were worthy of anything, which is a real shame. And then he came in one day. He said he was ready to present his PowerPoint. And so we arranged the time, and he stood up in front of the class and he showed us this PowerPoint that he'd created about his mountain bike. And he had flashing arrows to bits to say which bits he'd changed and improved. And then he had photographs of his trail that he'd built in a field outside the back of his granny's house. And he had a video of him riding it and jumping it. And then he'd embedded a video of his favourite YouTube mountain biker. And he got such a huge round of applause. And he was so delighted. But actually afterwards, other people were asking him for help in making their PowerPoint, which you could see him kind of suddenly realise he had a place and he had a thing, and that people liked him and appreciated him, and that he was... I think the best bit, apart from seeing him grow through doing that, was then he started trying harder in maths. And he started writing more in his English and in story writing. So the confidence that kind of gave him by doing this life skill of presenting a PowerPoint, you know, it really spilled out into the rest of his academics and really helped him improve.
That's what we tend to see with global perspectives as well. So they're talking about things that we're all more interested in, talking about things that we're passionate about and that interest us. And so that's what global perspectives does. It gives the students opportunity to do that. And then, like you say, they can see how that transfers into different subjects. And so they start to see, oh, yeah, now I see that in global perspectives we're doing that thing. And that's why in maths they're asking us to show us this, or they're trying to help us apply things in science, and it helps them see those connections and see why it's more meaningful. But I also like that you said about not knowing the answers. So global perspectives is all about, it's not about knowing the right answer. And that's, kids find that really refreshing because with the rest of their classes, they do have to know, you have to know the right answer in geography and maths and in science. You need to know there's a fact, there's a thing. Whereas in global perspectives, you're just looking at perspectives. So you're talking about what you think, what other people think. So it's not that there's an exact answer. And I think children find that really refreshing.
And that might hopefully then spill out into geography and whatever.
Exactly.
So they'll give a go with an answer that might not actually be the right answer.
Yeah,
could
the
end up
confidence
being,
to say.
Yeah, could end up being a really good conversational piece within the class.
That's right. So there's little steps that can make such a difference across the entire curriculum, or just across a child's life as well, in and out of school as well. So we know how Cambridge Global Perspectives can become a thing in schools. Schools can essentially buy into the curriculum. They can do what they want to do. When it comes to the Junior Duke, what do people have to do if they want to do the Junior Duke?
A teacher would get in touch and create an account in our system, and therefore they could then do their CPD course and invite all their members of staff to also do that.
CPD meaning?
Continued professional development, and that's just leading them through the ethos behind it, the history of it, and how it could potentially be run in school. Turns out there's many different ways you could choose to run it in your school. And then we have all the resources created, like an assembly and parents' presentations, so you could tell them all about it, because it's really about involving parents. Parental engagement's a huge thing when you think about how much time children actually spend in school by the age of 18. As teachers, we're trying to fill their days with as much as possible and make it the best experience ever. But I mean, some studies have said it's about 9% of a child's life is actually there in school. I know they're sleeping for a lot, but a lot of it's actually at home with family. And so therefore engaging parents and family to really engage with all these skills and joining in with them is really, really crucial. And then they would place an order for their school, and I would send them everything, and the school would run it themselves, basically, the way that suits their pupils.
Okay, so it's in their own context. They don't have anything fixed in particular they have to do, apart from they have to adhere to certain guidelines, shall we say, but it's up to them what they decide.
I mean, there are guidelines for different ways you could do it, but I mean, it's really optional.
Okay.
I mean, in our school, it's parents that do the challenges at home with children, and they just have to come in and have their workbook assessed, and a challenge at a time. So you're just reading the child's self-reflection. You're looking at their evidence, their photos, or their receipts, or their or whatever it is they've had to do, and their parents' comments. So it's a really nice thing to talk about at Parents' Night as well. But there are some schools that have Junior Duke time. So like last period before the weekend, they'll model a challenge and make sure children understand how to stay safe around steam and a kettle, because the challenge might be that they have to make a cup of tea or coffee for the way a parent likes it. But, very often parents don't want the child who's 7 years old to touch the kettle because that's terribly dangerous. And it can be. But if you've taught them how to stay safe, then they should be able to do it, just with that amount of water, so it's not too heavy to carry and they're not going to spill it on themselves. But just teaching them these things, it's nice little steps. And we did have a video. I had a video sent to me by a school in Dubai just recently, and a 10 or 11-year-old boy was on the stage. He'd just finished his level and he had his certificate and he had his badge, and he was saying to everybody that when he's older, he wants to be independent and be able to look after himself. But he's realised by doing the Junior Duke that independence isn't one lesson. It's lots of little steps. It's perfect.
That's such a nice thing to hear,
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you've heard about each other's programmes and what goes on potentially in schools. How would you say Cambridge Global Perspectives and the Junior Duke complement each other? Should we start with you, Rebecca?
I mean, really well. Just listening to what Dawn's saying about giving these children the opportunity to do things for themselves and to feel proud of what they've achieved, and to believe, to feel they're capable. I think that's the same opportunities we're trying to provide in Global Perspectives. We're trying to give them the opportunities to explore different things, not necessarily to find an answer, but I mean, we do ask them to engage in projects and think about an issue and a possible solution and a course of action, and so that there is real action and agency in those things. It's not just about talking about doing things, not just thinking about other people's perspectives, but like Junior Duke, it's actually doing something, it's actually achieving something, and then feeling proud of what you've achieved and that you can do it. And I just love the humanity that is in both of these things, and the care that students develop for themselves, for their family, and the connections that they're building to their wider community. And then that's easier for them to see those connections with other people around the world. And that's something that is central to Global Perspectives. It's about seeing that there are similarities and differences, and we're all part of one big community. So yeah, I see many, many different similarities, yeah.
Totally agree. We seem to do that a lot. Agreed. I just feel when you have a child and they're going to grow up and they're going to leave home, you want them to be as capable and as life ready as possible. You want them to be able to thrive in a job. You want their boss to like them and trust them with things, and that's often going to be because they have the resilience, they have the problem solving, they have the team skills, they have leadership skills, and that all happens gradually. It doesn't just happen at once. So I think with Global Perspectives and the Junior Duke together, some children are going to do brilliantly and get lots of academic qualifications. We're not all going to get that, but we can all be ready for life.
Okay, we've covered a lot of this in the conversation already, but I'd just like to ask you one more question about the importance of building skills for life, and wondering what piece of advice you would want to give students if they're just starting out in their own journey on the importance of skills. What would you say to a student who's thinking about building more skills right now, Dawn?
Start young. Start young, and obviously that's not really going to come from the child, it's going to come from the parent. But just keeping on expecting the child. If you've got high expectations, the child will normally reach that and possibly, excel further, and they'll discover skills and passions and talents they maybe didn't have before, just by trying lots of new things and giving everything a go and not being scared.
That's nice advice. Thank you. And what about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, it's a similar thing actually, and I think young children do have that willingness to explore. They want to try new things. They want to do things, and it's easy to lose that. I think as you get older. So it's to maintain that curiosity and of trying something new, and of listening to different people. Just do as many different things as you can, talk to as many people as you can, be open to what they've got to say, and just, engage with people. I think that's probably the best advice.
And switch your phone off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's engage more, isn't it? So engage less with technology, engage more with people. And because it's not just about learning, it's about that feeling as well. We're all human beings. We naturally gravitate towards each other. We want to be with other people. We want to hear from other people. We want to say things to other people. Perhaps just be more human.
Be more human. That's a nice ending. Thank you very much. Thank you. So that's all we've got time for. So thank you to Dawn. Thank you to Rebecca for being part of this episode and for sharing your passions for what you do, and also all the ideas for bringing up skills in schools and among students with the help of others as well. It's very good of you. So don't forget to tell all of your friends and colleagues about us and rate our show on whatever platform you're listening on. So thanks for listening, and we hope you join us again soon. Thank you very much. Thank you.